Welcome to the NWI.com Political Roundtable for Thursday, December 5th. I'm Robert Blaskowitz, Assistant Managing Editor of The Times. Join with me, Doug Ross, Editorial Page Editor of The Times, and Krista Zavanovic, Assistant Managing Editor of The Times, all of us together again. It's been a while for that. But we're going to get through our topics kind of quickly because we're going to be taping a special edition, which you can watch later this weekend on Sunday. Right. But first of all, let's start off with the news of the day, which was George Van Til, his plea agreement being accepted to plead guilty to the charges of using his office for political purposes. Your reaction to what happened today and this week?
Well, okay, I can tell you're itching to go. But, you know, to me, it is something that probably I would be surprised if there aren't other office holders doing this, so it's a real lesson to them. You know, we saw with Tony Bennett, for example, the accusation of him doing that at the state level. And so, you know, you're on notice, basically, if you're an elected official. You're going to have to do your campaigning away from the office.
And I think it's very sad. I think he really did love his job. I think he did bring a lot of good high-tech things to bear, despite his critics. And but I think it points up one interesting thing about elected office, and that is, I think in both Lake and Porter counties, there are a lot of, we had this discussion earlier, there are a lot of offices that shouldn't be elected offices, and that really should be appointed, or you apply for it, and just like in the private sector, your resume is vetted, and if you have the experience and the chops and the education and the vision, then you get the job. And I think it's really too bad that to stay elected and maybe feeling, you know, embattled a little, he felt he had to resort to this.
Right. We had this discussion last week, and if you want to go back and watch last week's video that we did with Porter County Assessor John Snyder, we kind of touched on the same subject.
That's another position. That why is that elected?
And he agreed that he thought it should be an appointed position. It should be, you know, they are not policy-making positions. They're
Precisely.
administrative positions, and it should be done by people who can do the job.
And they affect concrete, substantive things that need to be done. That really, how is politicking a piece of that?
And George Van Til did kind of show himself as someone capable of doing the job.
He did indeed.
If you separate that from the politics, but it's the politics that ultimately was his downfall.
Right. And you know what this says again is, you know, the Lake County Council is being asked again to join the Shared Ethics Advisory Commission. Their lawyer is advising them not to.
Good point.
You know, they're going to have to overrule the lawyer and just get on board.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Over in Porter County, some controversy has emerged over a plan to redistrict the council districts, the county council districts. It's a plan that would affect current councilman Jeremy Rivas, Democrat, would basically remove him from the district he currently sits in.
Right.
And there's been some criticism, particularly of Republican John Evans, Republican commissioner who was pushing this plan, that this is politically motivated and the timing is kind of dubious.
Right, and you know, here it is. The candidates are going to start filing for office, you know, this month. Really, you know, we're talking, you know, very quickly. As I recall, they put it off until December 17th or so. And you know, what this would do is it'd change the precincts around and move Rivas out of his district. I can't really say that Rivas is a frequent critic of Evans exactly, but Evans is a frequent critic of Rivas. I think you can easily say that. John Evans, the president of the commissioners. And this is something, why didn't they do it in 2011? Or, you know, the census data numbers were out. They should have done it then. You know, they knew about it then.
This way it does make it look more obviously political and a little less on the up and up, possibly.
Right. Now it was what brought what reminded them about it this year was a group of students, as I recall, they were from
Ball State,
who looked at state data for each of the counties, and they said that Porter County was out of balance. Well, it turns out that those numbers weren't exactly current. So, you know, it's closer to being in balance than the students had realized. But, you know, even so, what it comes back to me is, remember in 2001 when Lake County was doing the redistricting? Now, that has to go before the state board of elections,
Right.
whereas the Porter County one apparently doesn't. But what Lake County did with the commissioners' races, yeah, you know where I'm at it. They redistricted, but they delayed the implementation.
Grandfathered it, right.
Grandfathered is an ironic
Right,
word
yeah.
for Jerry Shoup, so that he could keep the same district until after the election.
Right.
And so whether you want to use the gerrymandered term in that case, is probably more appropriate than in the Rivas Evans case. But
Jeremy
still,
mandered, no.
yeah,
Jeremy
gerrymandered.
mandered.
Well, it might work. But they could probably do something similar to. Especially with the timing of this one, it really looks bad.
Yeah. Real briefly, right before we came on to the air here, we found out that Nelson Mandela, the former South African president, died at age 95. Brings back a lot of memories, I'm sure, for all of us.
Oh, absolutely.
Your thoughts and reactions?
To me, I think he was a central figure that, to South Africa, meant kind of a combination of what our country went through in the 1860s and what we went through in the 1960s. I mean, put both of those crucial decades together, and you would have what Nelson Mandela brought South Africa through.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to believe that, it's very recent history. I was in college. I remember when he was still in prison, and there were protests going on at our campus at Northwestern University. There were always protests going on.
Absolutely.
Shanty towns protests asking for divestment from South Africa.
Right.
And it was a big issue at the time.
It was huge. Well, he was in prison for nearly 30 years,
Right.
27 years, I believe.
Right, and that wasn't that long ago. It's just hard to imagine now. When we're sitting where we are now, and he's this universally beloved figure.
And I think he is beloved from all political stripes and spectrum in South Africa. I know he was imprisoned, apparently for being a radical, for doing some radical things, because they were so frustrated, as you pointed to, the 1850s portion of their history, and then they zoomed and modernized, and many people found it ironic and yet poetic justice that he was able to serve as president for 5 years, from 94 to 99. So they did come full circle, and it, for all of its negatives, he and his supporters, they persevered, and it's a really good story and very inspirational, I think.
And this, I think, shows, where the U.S. had, we can at least claim we had a role in bringing an end to the apartheid system there, because it was the economic pressure from the U.S., especially, as the big economy of the time, to put the pressure on South Africa to change, that I think helped convince them, finally we can't afford to do this.
And it's not to excuse how long it took for him to become president. But, if you read articles now about South Africa, it has wrought change, and especially with younger people, the younger generation, as always, the ones who eschew racial stereotypes and racist perspectives, and I think it's enabling people of all races to come together in that country and live and succeed and enter all areas of work and professional life.
On that note, we'll sign off for this week, but we will have a special edition of the Political Roundtable on Sunday. We'll be posting that online on Sunday. We'll be talking about the Ileana Expressway and the upcoming vote on that hotly debated issue. So please stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back this weekend and next week with another Political Roundtable.